Greetings and welcome, ghouls and goblins.
It's almost Halloween time here at Cobweb Cottage, and we're having a little Halloween party, and we thought it'd be nice to invite you to join us.
But in case you're new here, my name is Jonas.
And I'm Lindsay.
And we would love for you to stick around and subscribe for more cozy spooky episodes.
So at this party, we are sharing our 10 favorite ways for how to celebrate the charms of a vintage Halloween. We came up with this list together so that you can join in with us on social media by using our hashtag #ThisCharmingHalloween. And of course, in the comments, let us know what are your favorite Halloween traditions.
And we even made this list into a charming postcard that we are selling on Etsy. They feature vintage graphics and are wonderful to have on display or send to loved ones to greet them this Halloween. So thank you for supporting small shops like ours this season.
So as we go through this list, imagine that this is our old-fashioned dream Halloween, one where it's all about playful spooks and fun. Personally, we're not big fans of horror, and we understand that the history of many holidays, including Halloween, can be quite complex. But we prefer to focus on the charming traditions while acknowledging the checkered past. So we'll be sharing lots of old postcards and vintage photos for inspiration as we go along, and as well as a few fun facts.
So grab your candy or pour yourself something cozy and get ready for some spooky fun as we go through the best of vintage Halloween with 10 spooky ideas and nostalgic traditions.
Sounds wonderful. Cheers!
Cheers.
Number 1, Jack-o'-lantern Jamboree.
First of all, let's talk about jack-o'-lanterns. Like so many other Halloween traditions, they can be traced back to the ancient Celtic harvest festival called Samhain, which means summer's end. In old Ireland, people carved turnips to ward off evil spirits. Irish immigrants brought this tradition to America, finding pumpkins easier to carve. The name jack-o'-lantern comes from the legend of Stingy Jack, who tricked the devil and was doomed to wander with only a carved turnip for light. Today, jack-o'-lanterns symbolize Halloween with their flickering candlelight, creating a festive yet spooky atmosphere.
So that's where the name Jack-o'-lantern comes from. Jack
Exactly.
of the lantern.
Yeah.
So what is our idea of a jack-o'-lantern jamboree? Well, I imagine it as a gleeful gathering around with your family to carve pumpkins, which is always such a nice thing to do together. For the jamboree, I love the imagery of an old barn decorated with corn stalks, lanterns, and glowing pumpkins that sets the mood for a harvest party with country music and folk dancing. And maybe a hayride too. I also love the idea of an Art Deco masquerade party with crepe paper streamers and quirky costumes while jazz music is playing.
That sounds lovely. I don't know about you, but I can't help get a little warm in my heart when I see a glowing jack-o'-lantern smiling at me.
Right? Number 2, creepy costumes. Have you ever seen those old black and white photos of Halloween costumes?
They seem scary.
They are incredibly creepy, but also kind of charming in a way because you can see the creativity that went into it. But it makes you wonder, why do people dress up for Halloween anyway? Originally, people wore spooky disguises that they believed to help ward off wandering spirits on the night when the veil between the living and the dead was said to be thinnest. Over time, especially in the US, costumes became more playful and community-oriented. By the late 19th and early 20th century, they began reflecting popular culture, featuring characters from literature and movies. This transformation turned Halloween into a festive occasion for creativity and social gatherings, celebrating the spooky spirit of the season.
I think it's really nice to dress up even as an adult. Yeah. And it is like you become what you fear, just for one night.
Mm-hmm. Number 3, haunted house. So Jonas, have you ever been in a spine-tingling haunted house before?
Oh, I don't think so. Not that I was aware of, at least.
Yeah. But did you know that the tradition of haunted houses dates back to the early 20th century, when enterprising souls began to transform their homes into eerie spectacles, captivating local children with illusions and thrilling surprises? So I'm a bit of a scaredy cat. I think the only haunted house I've ever been in is a Haunted Mansion ride at Disneyland, which really isn't all that scary. But you know what? I wish I could experience one of those turn-of-the-century haunted houses where there was actors and magicians, and I think that would be so fun.
But you can always enjoy a classic old movie about a haunted house in the comfort of your home.
Yeah, that's what we tend to do. Number 4, Monster Mash. So let's not forget the golden age of monster movies. The 1930s brought us iconic films like Dracula and Frankenstein, to name a few.
And I just love those old movie posters. They look so amazing, how they are handmade and hand-painted.
The phrase Monster Mash comes from the 1962 song by Bobby Boris Pickett, which tells the story of a mad scientist and his dancing monster at a Halloween party. Monster Mash also brings to mind TV shows from the 1960s like The Munsters and The Addams Family.
So how many of you played the song Monster Mash in your heads right now?
No, I do.
Quite catchy.
So do you have a favorite classic monster?
I always love werewolves, so I have to say the Wolfman.
Oh yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh, I love the Bride of Frankenstein, I have to say. She has a wonderful style.
Yeah, she is classy.
Number 5, Hocus Pocus. So what does Hocus Pocus make you think of?
The first thing I'm thinking of is probably the 90s Disney movie called Hocus Pocus.
Yeah.
But also like magicians on a children's birthday party.
Oh, it's interesting you say that because Hocus Pocus likely originated from a 17th century magician's incantation, possibly derived from the Latin hocus est corpus, meaning this is the body, used during Mass. Over time, it became associated with illusion and trickery, often used by magicians to create mystery. When you look at vintage postcards, there are so many ways that witches are portrayed, from beautiful women to old hags. I love the different details of cauldrons bubbling with colorful brews and the ever-mysterious black cat, a symbol of superstition and enchantment. So what is it about witches that have cast a spell on Halloween lore?
I don't know. Maybe because they can fly and they usually have a cat. And everybody loves cats.
And personally, I would love to steal the wardrobe of many of the witches you see on those old vintage postcards. Number 6, trick or treat. Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. Did you ever hear that growing up?
No, because I grew up in Sweden where we didn't have Halloween until much later. So it keeps me wondering where it all started.
So the phrase trick or treat emerged in the late 1930s, evolving from earlier customs like souling, where children asked for food in exchange for prayers for the dead. Mischief Night, celebrated on the eve of Halloween, was when youngsters did playful pranks and lighthearted mischief. Sometimes the pranks could become a little out of hand and destructive, but generally it was a bit of playful chaos. Over time, the focus shifted from pranks to collecting candy. Families embraced the idea of children dressed up in costumes and going door to door for treats, which became a more wholesome and festive way to celebrate Halloween. After World War II, Halloween candy companies played a big role in popularizing trick-or-treating. So my question to you is, do you want a trick or a treat?
You always know me. I always want treats.
I know you do. Number 7, ghostly graveyards. The allure of ghostly graveyards invites us to ponder the mysteries of life and the afterlife. In the early days of Halloween, families would honor their departed loved ones' memories by visiting their graves and telling stories. So the word for Halloween actually comes from All Hallows Eve, or All Souls Day.
Many cultures observe days for remembering and honoring those who have passed away, such as All Saints' Day and Day of the Dead. In Sweden, on November 1st, it's a custom to put candles at the graves of your dearly departed. It can be a solemn yet beautiful day to pay your respects to the souls of those laid to rest in a local cemetery. And don't be afraid of lingering spirits, because graveyards can be a peaceful place. After all, it's a place of rest.
But if you are afraid, try the old trick of whistling past the graveyard. They say it will keep you safe. Number 8, party tricks.
So let's add some fun with some party tricks. In fact, I have one right here in my pocket. This old fire whistle always gives people a jump at first, but then it's followed by a smile.
Yeah.
And I actually heard this one in all the vintage Halloween songs, and I always wanted one. So what kind of games were played at Halloween parties in the past?
Yeah, so there was a lot of games that had to do with apples. Bobbing for apples is a classic game that has its root in the ancient harvest festivals and symbolizes abundance and good luck. There's a game where you peel an apple and toss it over your shoulder to see the initials of your future partner. Many games included some fortune telling, especially among young women seeking glimpses of their future husbands. One popular superstition involves staring into a mirror at midnight on Halloween, hoping to see a reflection of their beloved. This blend of games and mystique added an enchanted air to gatherings, inviting guests to explore both playful antics and the tantalizing possibility of love and destiny.
I can tell it seemed to be a demand of finding a partner during Halloween. Maybe it is the darker months that does it.
Mm-hmm. Number 9, spooky stories. So this can be a cozy moment during the party after dinner, by the fireside, where everyone gathers around candlelight to tell spooky stories.
And perhaps it was an effective way to make people leave the party.
Yeah.
What is it about telling spooky stories that ignites the imagination? It might be the contrast to the cozy, which makes it feels even more cozier, exploring the fear in a comfortable surrounding. We like to listen to chilling old radio dramas and of course read the old classics. Do you have a favorite spooky story?
I think I would have to say it would be The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. The story of the Headless Horseman always gives me chills.
I agree. Okay, do you hear hooves?
Number 10, magical moonlight. The full moon has always symbolized a little spooky yet magical atmosphere. Vintage postcards often portray the man in the moon and paper moons, which is also a fun Halloween decor. The paper moon tradition comes from vintage Halloween celebrations, where decorative paper moons were hung to create a whimsical atmosphere. As midnight approaches, the eerie hoot of an owl signals the witching hour and the end of Halloween night as you head home under the magical moonlight. The ethereal glow of the moon on Halloween night evokes mystery and magic, and can play tricks on your mind as shapes and shadows can seem like ghosts and goblins.
But do not fear, because the powers fade when Halloween night is over and everything goes back to normal.
Or does it? So we hope you've enjoyed exploring the 10 charms of a vintage Halloween with us. As we've gone through this list, I've realized that the best of a vintage Halloween brings out nostalgia for days gone by, and a childlike playfulness that is so fun and creative about this holiday. So we hope to experience or create these for ourselves and to start doing some of these old traditions.
And don't forget that you can get these postcard sets on Etsy, plus so much more of my spooky artwork. And as a special treat to celebrate that we reached 45,000 subscribers, we are adding an extra little gift to everyone that orders these postcards or any other print throughout the whole month of October.
We hope this party got you in the playful spirit of Halloween. And please let us know in the comments all about your Halloween traditions. We have lots more spooky fun over on our Patreon page, which you will not want to miss. And don't forget to subscribe so that you can stick around for all of the cozy spooky fun here. So should we continue our little party here?
Let's do it!
All right, happy Halloween everyone!
Happy Halloween!
Bye for now!